Okay, in the last video that we talked about this particular gun, about the new mags, I said I would do a little walkthrough of what's on this gun, and here it is. What this is a Glock 22. Okay, it's a 40 caliber Glock. We're just going to start on the outside and work our way in. One of the things that I've done is I replaced the sights. The sights I went with are the same Warren Tactical Savante competition sights. I've got these on 3 Glocks now, and for me, they are some of the best sights that you can put on a Glock. I like them. They work excellent. They have a wide rear notch and a fairly skinny front post. It makes it real easy to acquire those targets, get them on target fast, line them up. They just work great. To me, the fiber optic is a little small. You know, when you get old, you kind of like a bigger fiber optic, but overall, I mean, it works excellent. So that's why I keep going to that site. You know, you buy it once and it works, you buy it twice and it works. Heck, you might as well go ahead and do it a third time. Okay, another outside thing that I've done, and I put a bigger slide release on it. Let me go ahead and just lock it open. Makes it easier whenever you have slide lock back to go ahead and just release it. Works great, it's fast. I put an oversized mag release on there, and I put a Zeb magwell. This one here is it's called the Speed Feed magwell. These come in many different varieties. I chose this one because it had a 4-ounce weight that goes up into the back strap of the gun. Those 4 ounces really help with the recoil. It helps with the weight. You know, I'm kind of a guy who likes some substance in a firearm. You know, I like to know I'm grabbing something besides a piece of plastic. And with that weight back there, it really does a good job of managing the recoil and just making it feel substantial in the hand. And I really like that. With this magwell, as you've seen before, it's very easy. I mean, you don't have to even hit it just right to get that mag up in there. It works wonderful. You know, I'm glad I put that on this gun. This new mag here is the 9mm Magpul mag that we've talked about in the last video. It's USPSA legal. It's 140 millimeters. Fits in great, looks great, and holds 21 rounds. I haven't had an issue with this. Okay, we're going to go on the inside now a little bit. Inside the gun, I'm still using the factory spring. And here it wants to fight me. I'm still using the factory Glock spring for the 40 caliber. I currently have in this firearm, I have the 4x9 Lone Wolf barrel. That's why I can shoot 9mm through this gun. That's the real neat thing about Glocks is you can shoot the 40 caliber ammo. You can also get a 3-7 SIG barrel for this, or you can go to the 9mm barrel. For practice or for 3-gun or even for a steel challenge, I will use this gun with the 9mm barrel. You know, it's a big, thick, heavy barrel, bull barrel, and it works excellent. I mean, the groups of this, I rolled in some groups at the end of this, showing the groups of this gun. It's really, really good. Okay, so we got that. I have some springs to change out the firing pin, but I haven't done that yet. But on the inside here, the main thing that's really helped this gun out, I mean, everything kind of works in sync. I will be getting we're going to go back to the spring here. I will be getting a lighter spring. Glock tells me that these are a 17-pound spring, and I think in this particular gun with a 9mm, I think a 13-pound spring would be better. But right now it's working excellent with the 17. So I don't know. But when I shoot the 40 caliber, you know, in limited division, limited major, I'm going to go ahead and use this spring. So, but anyway, inside the trigger assembly, I've got a Zeb Fulcrum trigger. This trigger is adjustable anywhere from 2 pounds to 6 pounds. You know, being a revolver shooter mainly, I just put the factory setting in the gun. And I'll tell you what, it made a huge difference. I don't have a trigger pull gauge. I wish I did, but I don't. Just never seen the need for one. The factory Glock trigger in this gun I took it out to the match, and after the match was over, I had a few guys shoot it. So I'd like to thank Jesse, Will, and Matt for shooting my gun and telling me how crappy it was. You know, Will not only told me how crappy it was, he let me shoot his Glock with his trigger in it. I had another trigger picked out for this gun, and I thought that's the one I was going to go with. And after shooting Will's gun, I decided to go ahead and get the Zeb Technologies Fulcrum trigger. It's a real nice trigger setup. One thing that's a little different about this trigger that I don't necessarily like is the fact that it's so wide, and there's no way for me to show that on camera. But it is a very wide trigger, and that's going to take something for me to get used to. I've heard through the shooting comments and the world of shooting that I'm involved in that some people like a wide trigger and some people don't. So I guess it's just personal preference on there. I haven't really decided whether I liked it or not. I'm just saying it's different. I mean, it feels different when I'm pulling it. But compared to the factory trigger, it would come back a little bit like this one does, but then it would stage, and the stage on that factory trigger was hard. I mean, I don't know what the poundage was on it, but you definitely knew that you hit a wall when you hit that trigger. And I have two other Glocks. Those two Glocks they weren't that bad. They still had that staging, but it wasn't as bad as it was on this one. But this one comes back, and it's smooth. I mean, it's just a smooth trigger. It almost doesn't have a wall. I mean, when I'm doing that, I'm kind of hitting it, but if you just pull it regularly, there's really no wall. And I like that. With the other one, it was so hard that you pull back and you'd think that it was at the firing. You know, you think it was ready to blast, and it wasn't. You still had to keep going before it fired. So after changing the trigger, my groups got really good with this gun. With the barrel, it got really good. So my reloads were excellent on the match. Overall, I'm pretty proud of it. I know some people are going to wonder, well, why didn't I go for the Glock 34 instead of the 22? This gun was just my safe and never got any love. You know, my smaller gun, I used in IDPA or concealed carry matches, and my Glock 34 I used in production, but this one kind of just sat there and never got any love. So I always wanted to shoot limited. And for the 3-gun work, I kind of like having a mag well on there, so I thought, well, heck, I'm just going to go ahead and give this gun some love and shoot it. The problem is now this will probably be the gun that I shoot most often because it'll shoot so many different divisions. You can shoot it in limited, I can shoot a major or minor, I can shoot a limited 10, major or minor, I can shoot it in steel challenge, I can shoot it in 3-gun. So there's a whole lot of different things that I can do with this gun just in its original setup. And like I said, I can go from 40 to 9 and vice versa just with the swap of a barrel. You know, it takes about 20 seconds, if that. Very happy with it. Like I said, right now, I got the factory settings on the trigger. You know, the more I play with it, the more I want to play with the trigger system. You know, you can, with that setting, you can decrease the poundage, like I said, from 2 to 6, or you can also adjust the over travel on it. But right now, I'm pretty happy with the setup. So what I'll probably do is just run it in a few matches and see if it kind of loosens up on its own, even though it's pretty light the way it is. But anyway, the reason I went with the Glock 22 over the Glock 34 is because for me, not only, you know, was it just set in the safe and I had it laying there, but I like a shorter barrel. It's easier for me to transition from target to target with a shorter barrel than it is with a longer barrel. You know, my competition revolver, it has a 6.5 inch barrel, give or take, and I usually shoot a 5-inch barrel on revolvers in competition, and that 1.5 inches is really kind of throwing me off a little bit sometimes, but I've got used to it. But I like a shorter barrel where I can transition from target to target faster. Also, the way I lock my wrist in when I'm shooting a gun with that wrist lock, I mean, there's really no left or right movement with the shorter barrel gun for me. It just kind of tracks. I mean, so I don't have to look and hunt and fight to find that front sight. So, but the main reason is just because I had it. All right, Glock 22, USPSA limited, major minor, USPSA limited 10, major or minor, 3-gun, steel challenge. All right, guys, appreciate y'all watching. Thanks.